Ethereum, the triple halving, how Ethereum can achieve $150,000 by 2023, and a plea for Ethereum bulls to dream bigger dreams. But ultimately, like the really amazing applications that's going to be built on top have barely begun. We have like a handful of them. We have like Uniswap and Maker and Chainlink, but like the real ecosystem takes off when the value of the software above the ecosystem is worth more and more, takes up more mind share than the base layer itself, right? Nobody thinks about AWS today as a consumer. We just use Netflix and the bits just stream through like water, and we don't think about it. That's the moment of success, and we're like not even 2% there. That's why I'm so excited to like wait for that future to arrive. Thing that Ethereum reminded me of, the reason why I kind of quit CeFi to join DeFi was really, it was so obvious that Ethereum was turning out to be a computing platform and a technology. And the most successful cloud computing platform is AWS. It's not a perfect analogy as I kind of dug into the details, but it does give you a sense of the scale and potential. AWS didn't start as a computing platform. It started as a storage platform. The first service it launched was a service called S3, simple storage. And this is like one of the things that EIP 1559 achieves, that it gives this kind of elastic block size, right? It's able to absorb more computation based on demand. I think this is just like the very, very beginning of building out a compute infrastructure. Right now, Ethereum itself hasn't scaled. To scale, it needs to go to ETH2. This is really an optimization for ETH1 right now. And that to me is how early it is, right? Right now, Ethereum, the amount of developers building on it is tiny. It's almost not visible compared to the number of programmers in the world. So for me, it's like Ethereum has made a very important software change that makes the system much more robust and self-regulating. But ultimately, like the really amazing applications that's going to be built on top have barely begun. We have like a handful of them. We have like Uniswap and Maker and Chainlink, but like the real ecosystem takes off when the value of the software above the ecosystem is worth more and more, takes up more mind share than the base layer itself, right? Nobody thinks about AWS today as a consumer. We just use Netflix and the bits just stream through like water, and we don't think about it. That's the moment of success, and we're like not even 2% there. That's why I'm so excited to like wait for that future to arrive. 1559 took longer to develop, but for good reason, right? The risk is now higher than when Ethereum was just a child. And it's funny because it took 3 years from Vitalik's first post to now, because it had this 3-year like debate and research in the public process of vetting out this idea, because you don't know if the idea is good, even if it's coming from Vitalik just with a post. And a protocol that is always like touting its process for vetting out like theory is Cardano, right? Cardano is like, we have this peer-reviewed process with university professors. Now, I will take a bunch of squishes in a forum debating each other, actually writing code over any bunch of ivory tower university professors writing peer-reviewed paper, because this is real skin in the game, right? You're building protocols that actually affect economic livelihood for yourself and for others in the system, and you're like affecting changes, whereas professors are like mostly in a zero-sum status game. So I think this 3-year process has been very healthy. On the execution front, I would just say that execution is not something that is mostly interesting looking back. It's mostly looking forward. The reason why NVIDIA beat everyone was because it shipped new chips every 6 months for like 5 years. So the real question is, going forward, can Ethereum's developer community continue to ship every 6 months or whatever cadence it is, right? Like whether it hits the merge date, how well that goes is going to be very telling. You build up execution credibility by repeatedly hitting it, not by, retrospectively hitting a few milestones. So I think that's very key. At some point, people talk about the protocol ossifying, and maybe, just because the low-hanging fruit is picked, the rate of innovation will slow down a little bit. At that point, the determinant of success is going to shift from purely kind of shifting or shipping new code to almost like more boring, like biz dev and onboarding the rest of the world's GDP. That's a very different skill set. I think Ethereum has been okay at that skill set, but no one's been fantastic. Maybe some of the more TradFi companies or Ripple has been a little bit more better at that, in spirit at least. But at some point, Ethereum is going to have to like just do like the integrations with the boring offline world, and things like Chainlink are really important to do those integrations. So I think execute until we get to ETH2, prove the economic model. Maybe we'll have some better ideas to put in, and then concurrent with that, really ramp up the sensibility of we have to integrate with reality and the rest of the economy so that we can bring the whole internet base onto Ethereum. At ARK, we were famously the first ETF to actually buy Bitcoin exposure through GBTC 2015. And definitely the store of asset narrative has been the driving force behind that because it's so easy to understand, right? Digital gold. I don't think 1559 itself is the biggest catalyst for institutional adoption. I think the one is just the one they can most easily understand, which is the search for yield, right? Ethereum is unique. Back to David's question, what's unique about Ethereum versus everyone else? Ethereum is the only one that is like, that has apps. When you care about computer system, you don't care about the one with most elegant design or whatever. You care about the one that has the most applications. Ethereum has the most applications for DeFi and the only really effective platform for NFTs. So that's very important. And when institutions look for yield, the most natural place to go is Ethereum because all the top DeFi protocols are on Ethereum. And secondarily, when the merge happens, Ethereum itself becomes a proof of stake blockchain, which whose tokenomics basically generates yield, right? The staking rewards is a form of yield, and that is completely understandable. So I think that's what makes Ethereum very attractive from an institutional perspective. And once you can express yield, like that plugs in so naturally to so many of the products that exists in kind of CeFi banking, any kind of borrowing, any kind of lending protocols, like they can plug into Ethereum, the whole DeFi ecosystem as a source of capital. That to me is like far more exciting than there's a fixed pile of money for gold. How do we divide it between gold and Bitcoin?
2017, we weren't sure what Ethereum was able to do. We only had this idea that this could be a new kind of computer for the internet, a new platform for the internet. But we had no idea. So all kinds of ICOs, initial coin offerings came out, and we had stuff from DentaCoin and weird things that didn't make any sense. Over the last 2 years or so, two use cases actually have emerged for Ethereum. One is this thing called decentralized finance, or what people call DeFi, basically using Ethereum to do things that banks used to do, borrowing, lending, and things like that. The other one is NFTs, non-fungible tokens, where essentially any artist now has a piece of magical software that allows them to mint unique and scarce digital assets. We could never create scarce digital assets prior to, practically speaking, Ethereum's kind of NFT technology. So now we have these two things. If you try to value Ethereum 3 years ago, you couldn't have come up with any of these because you wouldn't have known ahead of time that they were going to be invented. So narrowly speaking, you could value Ethereum's opportunity in terms of the scale of the financial system if you just look at DeFi, and that's roughly speaking about $3 trillion a year. That's the amount the global banking and auditing system it generates per year, about $3 trillion. But yeah, like basically it's like if you just want to take a conservative view, take the global financial system and the banking system and the auditing system, $3 trillion in revenue a year. If Ethereum captures 0.1% of that revenue, it would be worth about $4,000 a token. If it captures 1%, it would be worth $40,000 per Ethereum, per Ether. And that's a 20x from where we are today. So like that's very clear. And that's only one use case, right? And because it's a platform, it can, like 6 months from now, we could be talking about some entire new case we couldn't have imagined and estimated.